What's up, guys? It is 100 degrees out. We just sold this duplex to an investor for $60,000. It just appraised for $200,000. And today's video, I'm going to break down the loan product the investor used to finance the purchase price and the remodel for this property, and how we were able to find such a good deal where the investor is going to pull out an extra $40,000 when he goes to refinance it. As in, when he goes to the closing table for the refinance, they will be paying him $40,000 and he's still going to be cash flowing on this property $200 to $400 per month. And we'll be doing a follow-up video with the investor himself. He just had a kid, so like and subscribe to see the follow-up. All right, guys, a little story for this property. When we sent the appraiser out to this property, it had a lockbox, so we gave him the lockbox code. The neighbors saw the appraiser and called the police, and the police showed up. It was a big drama. So I'm hoping today we don't have any drama. We closed on it last week, so it should be no problem here. There we go. Oh, I can already smell it. It's one of those ones. I'm gonna walk you guys through the price for this remodel and the loan product. So first, I'm gonna show you guys the property and then I'll get into the details of the loan product. So first thoughts, I am actually a huge fan of this. This is one of the nicest looking rentals as far as styling goes and floor plan, especially for a duplex. So what I'm talking about that I love are these ceilings. So check that out. This is the type of styling you don't see in rentals very often. Whenever I see unique stuff like this in a rental, the first thing I think is how it's gonna rent faster, because unique stuff like that is not common in rental heavy markets. Like skylights, stuff that are normally in end buyer homes, not as common in rentals. So when I see that, I'm thinking that's gonna be the first thing that shows on this rental listing to get it rented quicker. A few things off the bat, love to see the punch drywall, easy to fix. Overall, condition's not really bad. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, 2 years ago, Antonio and I would have just cleaned this place and sent a handyman to fix a few things. But now, because we understand the BRRRR method better, a place like this, if this was our property, we would do a full remodel. So for the investor, that's what we're doing. I didn't mention that, but we are doing the remodel for the investor at this property. So we sold him the property and now we're doing the remodel for him, and we're gonna do it just like we would for one of our properties. The biggest thing is everything you see, all of this, kills paint and primer. Flooring, I've been liking doing vinyl more than resurfacing hardwood because I find it traps smell. So with the hardwood, even when we sand it and reseal it, it seems to have that like musky smell still. So we will be just laying down LVP. In here, really the hardwood doesn't look that bad, but just because of the smell, and we have to do it for the whole house, it will be LVP. But you'll see in the follow-up video what we end up doing. For the windows, for rental flip, we do not need to replace. The only downside with this is the installation sucks. And for the tenant, that just means you're gonna have a higher utility bill, but this is separately metered for the electric meter. So very important for duplexes, always check the electrical meter, gas meter, and water meter, because that's how you tell if you pay the utilities or if the tenant does. If there's only one meter for the water, then landlord pays the water bill, and you got to bill your tenants for the water if you still want to get them to pay for it. Electrical, same thing. So always for duplexes, check how many meters there are. So the loan product the investor used was originally going to be 100% financing for purchase price and remodel. All he would have to come out of pocket the day of closing would have been roughly $4,000 to pay the lender fee, broker fee, underwriting, legal fee, payoff fee. What happened was the private money lender changed his terms on his 100% financing product that our DSCR lender was doing with him. Basically, his new requirement is that for new investors, their first deal, to reduce his risk, they have to put down 10% on their first deal for purchase price and remodel. So if it's total purchase price plus remodel $100,000, they have to put down 10% of that, so 10 grand plus all the underwriting costs and fees. So originally he was only gonna be out of pocket about 4 grand. Well, private money changed their terms right when he got under contract, and now for this deal, he's gonna be out of pocket roughly $22,000. But the good news is after this deal, he gets to have the 100% financing. And that's how it is for a lot of private money. A lot of private money is relationship based, and they're looking for the investor's experience using private money to successfully purchase, rehab, and stabilize the deal to get it to the 30-year note to pay them off. And if they have high confidence in the investor's ability to do that, it is super easy to get 100% financing. So that is why with private money, it is fantastic, but you will have to do a little bit of work to get that relationship going, that trust and that proof. So he's gonna be out of pocket 22 grand on this deal, but the after repair value appraisal he has on this deal puts it at 200,000. So basically, as long as he does the scope of work we submitted to the appraiser, the appraisal of $200,000 stands. He's gonna get a loan for 75% of that, which is roughly 140,000. So after a remodel is done and he goes to refinance, he's gonna be pulling out 140 to pay off the lender. It's gonna be roughly 110,000. And what that means is he will be pulling out an extra, after closing costs and fees, $20,000 to $30,000. So basically, he put 10% down for purchase price and remodel of all in 110,000, and then he paid the closing costs and fees, lender fees, broker fees, and then when he goes to refinance, because the value came back so high, when he gets that loan for 75% of the market value, not only is it going to pay back the lenders, it'll cover the lender's fees, it'll cover the closing costs and fees, it'll cover what he was out of pocket, and he's going to get paid at the closing table roughly 20 grand. The downside with this loan product is that you will have more cash going towards the lender and interest than the actual property itself. So it doesn't work quite the same for the BRRRR method where you're recycling the capital. Really quick, this is what I'm meaning by that with a 4 house in a year example. You have $100,000 in both instances starting at the year. One instance, you use $100,000 to buy the first house, you refinance, pull out the $100,000, and then after your first house, you still have that 100 grand ready to put in the next house. And then I accelerate it for basically you did this for 4 houses. The total portfolio value is the same, total permanent debt is the same, total equity created is the same. However, the amount of cash that was burned going to a lender in one instance is 0, going to specifically hard money lenders. This instance roughly comes out to 10,000 per deal because you have to finance on the front end and back end plus holding cost. So this is just a rough estimate. So basically, at the end of year 1, buying 4 houses, 28% of your 100 grand has been burned. What do I mean by burned? As in it is not in any houses, it is in a lender's pocket. And the recycling mechanic that happens with the BRRRR method does not work the same when you have this much money going to lenders. Now the catch are deals like the one I'm breaking down, and past Alex is about to get into it, because if you get absolute home run deals where you pull out more than the amount you borrowed and the amount the lender is owed, it is the exception. But for traditional BRRRR deals, the most common BRRRR deals you will find from wholesalers and realtors and that are realistic to consistently find, this is how it pans out. So pause this if you want to break it down more. Most of the time though, we tell investors whenever they use that loan product to expect having cash tied up, unless you get a deal like this where we thought it was only going to be worth 160, came back at 200. Two things, this is for the gas heater. Now these gas heaters, problems I've had with them in the past, they're super noisy, so tenants hate them, and they're pretty dangerous from what I've been told. So this will have to get ripped out. We have a mini split, which I love mini splits. For this amount of square footage and these old windows, that's probably not enough. We'll need another one. Old windows, so a lot of heat gets out and a lot of cold gets out. So we'll need a better system. But look at this, actually. Check this out. 220-volt outlet. This is really good news. If you see this, if you see one of those by a window, that means you can get one of those beefier window units that push more air, higher BTU. So actually between the mini split, this, and one more window unit for both those bedrooms, we'd probably be set. But when you see one of these outlets, that's good news because that means you can put an actual bigger, heftier window unit. This side of town, I would not put in central air because it gonna get stolen just if it's vacant for a longer period of time. It's not terrible side of town. If you look back there, that's a nice house, nice area, but all these duplexes, a lot of them are Section 8, so this place probably will go Section 8, but we will see. Section 8 sometimes has requirements for central heat and air. For this kitchen, granite countertops. Again, 2 years ago, we would have never done that. Cabinets, honestly, just getting new handles, painting. Fridge, as long as it works, you can get away with leaving it. But we are still, again, to get that 200K appraisal, that ARV, we sent the lender our scope of work that we said we were going to do. So we got to do that scope of work. So we'll just have to make sure the scope of work matches the completed product to get that 200K ARV. Let's check out the rest of the house. Again, hardwood, you know, I like hardwood, I like original hardwood, but too much of it is damaged and this would just be a problem for tenants. Bathroom, yes, very important here. So look at this here. It's already got tiles, so I'm pretty sure we're gonna be able to, we're just gonna leave this and make sure that the bathroom is fresh paint, and we'll get modern light fixture, new mirror, and then we'll actually install an actual vanity instead of just this sink, and toilet. It's probably fine, we'll leave it. But the biggest thing for this that will get us to that 200 mark, Kills Paint and Primer, flooring, kitchen, bathrooms. That's the heaviest lifting for the remodel. Getting all the paint done, all the flooring, then the kitchen and bathrooms is gonna do the heaviest lifting for showing we did a full remodel. Here are some of the pros and cons for duplexes. The first con, turnover. I don't anticipate it too much with this duplex, but other duplexes that we have had have turnover like multi-unit housing. Multi-unit housing, people don't live in for as long, so they tend to just be there for less than 2 years. So they tend to move out more, so therefore you have higher vacancy rate. Check this out. There is a solution, and that is Section 8. So, oh, perfect, right here, look. 2 meters, so the tenants pay their electrical. That is good news. With Section 8, because of how competitive it is to actually get into Section 8 housing, tenants will stay in their properties for longer. So what that means is if you have a duplex, I would highly encourage you to be more aggressive trying to go the Section 8 route. The second con, I've had issues with tenants not getting along with their neighbors. Same thing you run into with multifamily housing is that you're basically sharing a roof, and even though you have your own separate areas, you'll get the same kind of drama and complaints that you get with multi-unit housing, especially like lower income multi-unit housing. So the problem I had with duplexes was a lot of that, people feuding with their neighbors. And the other thing is rent price. So a unit that is a, say, 3-2 duplex versus a 3-2 single family house is just gonna rent lower, which is fine as long as you ran your numbers. But basically, to summarize the cons of duplexes, it's really that you have the problems of traditional lower income multifamily housing, but you don't have the volume with it. But if you can get in Section 8 tenants or just tenants and the remodel's nice and you can keep them happy there, you shouldn't have too many issues of turnover, because really how this layout is, it really does feel like you have your own home because you have your own yard. So with this duplex, I would say you won't have as many of those multifamily cons. The duplexes we used to own were basically like splitting a regular house down the middle. They shared a yard. It was terrible. So if you are going after duplexes, separate yards, separate parking, separate garages, anything that really can make it feel like a separate residence is gonna help with occupancy and less tenant complaints. But besides that, this is pretty cool. Check this out, very cool. And then this kitchen, same thing. More work than the other one, I would say. And then one thing I'm noticing, smoke. It smells like smoke in here. Good news is this place does not have central heat and air, so it's not like we have to worry about smoke smell being trapped in the HVAC system or ducts. How do you get rid of smoke in rentals? Kills Paint and Primer. And this flooring, this wood flooring, it's gonna be gone. It's gonna be LVP flooring, and that will get rid of the smell. Kills Paint and Primer and flooring. I believe in some states, asbestos you legally can treat, and lead paint you can legally treat just by painting. Paint seals away everything. So there's no ducts, there's no vents for the smoke smell to be trapped. So I'm telling you, Kills Paint and Primer will get rid of it. And then getting rid of like anything that could be touched other than the windows. But the glass shouldn't hold too much smell. But like this stuff, gone. Fixtures, gone. Window unit right here, gone. And let's see, did this place have a mini split this side? So yeah, that's good news actually. This side did not have a mini split. So that just means we got to put in a new mini split anyways. A few other things, decent sized backyard, tenants are gonna like that. The washer dryer, that'll help rent it. Good selling point there. And then this bathroom looks a little bit more unique. Yeah, so this side as well, also already got the tile. So needs a new toilet. But overall, place like this, I would say, if you wanted to make it rent ready, you could do it for under $20,000, but it'd be a slum house and it'd be in pretty crappy condition to actually make it right. We're gonna spend roughly $25,000 on each side, and that's how we're gonna make sure we pull up the correct amount. We had an investor buy a duplex over in this area about a year ago, and the appraisal came back terribly. And basically they got left with like 15K in the deal. Well, our lender keeps an eye on values and lets us know what appraisals are coming back. And that investor, before this one, found out that there were some good comps in the area that sold for north of 200,000. So then he ended up refinancing again and was able to pull out not only the rest of the 15,000, but like an extra 30,000, because the original appraisal he got for his property is like 155, and then it shot up, reappraised, bang, got his money out. And one thing that investor tried to do was a remodel while tenants were there. So the remodel is half-assed. So part of that, I would say, is to blame for the value he got. But then the other part was just that there were some sales that happened after he did his appraisal. And that's how this deal, we even pumped it up a little bit because we thought 160, you're like, yeah, that's high, but there's been some good comps. So when we got the appraisal back at 200, we were pretty surprised. That's why it's important you update your schedule of real estate quarterly, because then you can see if the value of your portfolio fluctuates, because then you might be sitting on a lot of equity you could be leveraging and using to put it into properties. There's an opportunity cost to you leaving that equity in that deal when you could be pulling it out and putting it into another one. This investor, again, I want to reemphasize how great of a deal this is, because he's using a hard money loan product and he's going to pull out more than the loan product plus all his closing costs fees. So he's going to go to the closing table and receive cash. You're probably also wondering, how did we get such a slam dunk deal? Well, that's what you get when you market like a psycho and spend $20,000 a month in just one market. We spend so much on marketing because it gets us deals like these. If you're relying on the MLS, realtors, wholesalers, yes, your deal flow might be free, might not be costing you anything, but you pay for that with inconsistency. So I was just telling an investor the other day, he was on the Facebook groups, he's networking with wholesalers and realtors, and basically what he's finding is it's pretty inconsistent, the number of deals he gets. But I emphasize to him, that's just the cost. You don't have to pay for your deal pipeline. You have a deal pipeline for free. The price of that is inconsistency. You don't have control over it. Unless you have a big name and a lot of people know you, like Mr. Patrick Rigg, where every wholesaler and realtor in the states he invested in know who he is. So just understand that's why we have so much control over our deal pipeline, so we always know where our next deal is coming from. And that's why we consistently get deals at this spread, because we're willing to spend that money. The camera overheated, so it stopped recording right there. But what I was saying is that if you are getting deals through free methods, such as realtors and wholesalers, the cost, the price you pay by not spending money on marketing is inconsistency and less control over your deal pipeline. So we spend the money to have a super predictable, consistent deal pipeline. We spend it on mailing, SEO, PPC, PPL, cold calling, and SMS. Yes, it's expensive, and we spend that money and it gets us no deals. We're out of luck. We spent that money, it's burnt. So regardless if it gets us deals or not, we have to pay for it. So that's just the trade-offs you make by running your own marketing to find deals. Wholesalers and realtors, you only pay when you get a deal. So if you're a full-time or part-time investor, what I recommend for most investors is get your first few deals using free methods, no cost to you, and then start putting aside funds that you're comfortable with spending on learning marketing. What you want to get to is a three-legged stool where you have 3 places you are consistently getting deals from. That is what will really stabilize your deal pipeline and get rid of the whole anxiety behind knowing where your next deal will come from and being able to consistently get great deals. Maybe not quite like this, maybe deals like this 1 in every 10, but consistently get deals that work for the BRRRR method. But that's this video, guys. If you want to do a deal like this one with us, where we bring you into our market, please click the link below, fill out the form. It's not coaching, it's not mentoring. We're doing the deal for you like this. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.